So, welcome. We're going to chat about cosplay on TikTok, and I have four lovely guests, including myself, and I'm going to let them each introduce themselves. So, take it away.
Hi, I am Cheyenne Jazzwise. I just go by Cheyenne Jazzwise on TikTok. That makes it really simple. And I do cosplay content, but primarily I do a lot of kind of cosplay creation content. So I do a lot of sewing tutorials and how a sewing machine works and my process of making cosplays and stuff like that.
I am Kalika Evans. I go by Midnight Persona on basically everything. I just do cosplay content, makeup, entertainment stuff, dumb things just to make people smile and laugh.
Hello, I'm Gabby. On all platforms, I'm known as Heaven's Light Cosplay. I mostly do cosplay content and just kind of gremlin energy stuff to keep people happy and going.
And I'm Jamila of Black Betty Cosplay, same tags on TikTok as well. I do mostly cosplay and then some makeup and a little bit of sewing tutorials. So, as for anybody who's tuning in and doesn't know what TikTok is, we'll describe what TikTok is. And from their own words, it's an app to create short music, lip sync, dance, pretty much anything entertaining under a minute, and it's on the phone. So that's your basic spiel what TikTok is. It of course is blown up, so I'd be shocked if people didn't know what it is, but there you go. So the question is, how did some of you end up on TikTok?
A friend of mine actually used to do TikTok when it was Musical.ly. They would sneak around like when we were at con and like make videos, and I'm like, when are you doing this? We're always together. How are you making these videos and nobody knows? And so eventually they showed me Musical.ly, and I thought about it, and I'm like, this is a great way for me to get mileage on costumes other than just wearing them for a day, half a day at con. And I also decided to use it as a medium for me to practice performing because at conventions, I do lip sync competitions. Yeah. And so that's how I got started.
I'm an old TikTok soul. I have also been on since Musical.ly.
That's a veteran.
I think it was like 2016 maybe is when I kind of had it, and then I really started rolling like 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. It's gonna sound really bad. I had a friend, ex-friend now, who was kind of like, oh, I'm so good on TikTok and I'm so big and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I could do this. I could do this. and so I started doing more and more TikToks, and then I kind of flew off with it. And then they kind of fell off, and I was like, I mean, this is just practice for doing performances and stuff anyway. And I do cosplay masquerades. And I do cosplay competitions, and I put together skits and parodies and things like that. So going through TikTok has just helped me with acting and everything like that.
Totally.
So,
yeah. And then I think I'm probably the baby TikToker out of the lot here. I downloaded TikTok probably the beginning of 2020 just because it was a thing that a lot of my cosplayer friends were doing. And I was like, oh, this looks really cool. But got very overwhelmed by the energy of it and didn't really do a lot. Because when you first get on TikTok, it's just a lot.
Yep.
And then when quarantine hit, I primarily work with kids and in a theater setting. So all of my jobs were like, nope, nope, no, as they should have. But that meant that I had nothing to do all day, and I would just start scrolling through TikTok, and it gave me an excuse to kind of put cosplays on. And as I started to kind of dabble in it, the more I saw, wow, a lot of the kids on here are really young and they don't know what they're doing, and they're trying to make things in these ways that are just making their lives so much harder than they need to, and like kids that don't know how to use a sewing machine. And I am a seamstress and a costume educator. I literally teach kids ages 10 to 18 how to sew in my day job. So it's like, well, I have a skill set for this that might be helpful. And started doing, hey, children, this is how a sewing machine works. This is how to do this in a way that you're not going to suffer as much. And that kind of has just become my niche.
Which is such an awesome series too. Like, if you do not follow it, it's like worth it if you've never sewn before. It's like, check it out. It's super awesome.
It's really helpful. I've actually sent some of your videos to my friends where they're like,
Nice.
"Hey, Gabby, can you do this, this, and this?" And I'm like, "I could explain this to you, but look at
Or-
this beautiful TikToker right here who's already done it."
It's like, I'm like, I don't need to make a video. Cheyenne
Why
made a
would
video.
I do it? It's already out there.
I
Here
know.
you
I'm
go.
like, this directly to Cheyenne. Check them out.
Yep.
So I'm like in the middle, like not quite a baby TikToker. I started, I think, in 2018 or something. I remember hearing about Musical.ly actually through a coworker about her daughters talking about this app they were using. And I was just like, it's probably just like Snapchat. I don't know, whatever. And then some friends started using it and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. So I got an account and just looked at it and I didn't really do anything. And then a friend of mine was over and we decided to make TikToks together. And I think that was the first time I actually made content. And then like, I was like, okay, this is fun. And so I started doing it a little bit more. And then it really wasn't until like end of 2019 and then into 2020 that I was like, well, I can't go to cons. I'll do this.
I mean,
So, I mean, and it's been nice because like I used to do filmmaking. So this is like mini filmmaking and performance stuff. So it's a really good way to like do that since you can't do anything else. One of the questions a lot of people always ask is, how do you get started on TikTok? Because I know a lot of people are scared. That's like the hurdle. Like, what do I do? What should I do? What do people like? So do you guys have any advice for those new folks?
when I started, I had an Android phone, loved my Android phone to bits and pieces, pretty much used it till I couldn't anymore. And the only reason I switched over to iPhone was that there was more video editing on your phone.
Yeah.
But when I started, I had an Android and 6 Funko Pop boxes to use as a stand.
It works.
It works. Just do it. Some of my most popular videos at that time were those 6 Funko boxes stacked up and my phone was on them and me hoping and praying that me jumping around like a gremlin doesn't knock everything over and I get my one take. Like you just kind of have to go for it. Find your niche, find fandom, whatever you enjoy, and just go for it.
I also get asked this question a lot, and I'm like, the only thing I can tell you is download the app and do it, because like you sit for hours going, well, I don't know what to do. It's like, what do you do every day? You know, like, or if you're a cosplayer, it's like put on your costume and just be like, yo, I like this character. This is what I like doing.
Exactly.
Hello, you know. It is hard to find music and sounds sometimes for certain characters, but if you like if you really like search, like for example, a lot of the times even before when I was like, I kind of want to cosplay Raven, and then I went to Cheyenne and was like, okay, she's got Starfire stuff, Teen Titans, yeah, okay, that, yeah, you know, and then I just search Raven, and then it's like, here's all these Raven cosplayers who have sounds that sounds cool, or emo. She's really dark, so save all these emo or dark sounds, you know. So it's you got to relate to your character, and then just kind of go for it, you know.
I also think that it's not important, but in my experience, when you are doing things that you are excited about doing or you're happy about doing, sometimes those will be the things that do really well. So, and even if it's not, then you did it and you're happy, right?
Yeah.
Like one of my most viral TikToks has nothing to do with cosplay. I just got all of the stuff. I was kind of figuring out what I was going to do for my wedding dress. I got engaged this year. And I just was excited. And it's like the one social media my fiance doesn't have. So I was like, I'm going to talk about my wedding dress. And people really liked it because I was just excited. And I was talking about a thing that I was passionate about. And like, I love to talk about the process of sewing and making stuff. And my following on like Instagram and a lot of other places is kind of not as interested in that because I have more of like a male fan base. I do a lot of like pinup modeling kind of stuff. So I was like, I just want to talk about how I want to sew this dress. That'll be fun. And people really like those because I'm excited about them. I feel like you can feel that in a TikTok or any video thing, really.
Yeah. I definitely think excitement is kind of a key component. Like, or if you're really daunted and you don't know where to start, if a friend is on there or there's just like a fandom you like, search the fandom tag, start with a duet. That sometimes is the easiest thing because you don't have to find a sound. You just have to duet the other person. So you just put on your costume and interact. And that helps a lot, I think. But yeah, searching the like tags, just you can borrow sounds from other people. It's okay.
Yeah, it's very normal. I definitely, when I first started TikTok, some of the first things I did was I was like, oh, Kalika's doing Ursula right now. Let me throw my Ariel wig on. So it goes both ways.
Yes.
So setups. I know we said you can pretty much use anything, but what do people use? Like, where do you shoot? What kind of equipment do you just use your phone? I know some people do film with fancier stuff and then edit it and put it on TikTok. They're very diligent. That's not, but
I personally only have so much space because it's me, my husband, and his mom. So I'm like, okay. And even looking behind me, I have like all this storage stuff. So I have like no room for anything. So I will just steal a wall space. I buy backdrops or I take blankets and I just tack them to the wall to get a blank kind of spacing. I only have tripods because I'm a photographer. So I will put my phones on my tripod and things like that. But tripods are also not that expensive if you look for good, certain ones that you can find really cheapy ones, you can find really expensive ones. And then like, I guess it's almost like a 4x4 space where I'm like, this is me. And I'm gonna record just my face. And like lately, since I've been less like embarrassed or shy, I've been like, all right, I'm taking the living room. Just know that I'm in here recording. And if you walk in seeing me in a pink wig and like dancing, just don't worry about it.
Don't ask questions.
like just walk away.
My mother-in-law's come in and been like, no, what do you do? And I'm like, don't worry. And she's like, all right, okay. And then she'll just walk away. So it's just find the spot and go.
I mean, it kind of depends on where I am. I've made TikToks in several different places. Literally, I've made them in the bathroom. Right now, I have a setup where it's fabric I got from Joann's pinned up as my backdrop because I didn't like the aesthetic of a lot of the plastic backdrops from like Party City and what have you. And then I got kind of an affordable ring light on Amazon because I got tired of the only good lighting in the house was the bathroom. So I got a ring light. It has like 3 settings on it, and I just kind of have that has its own tripod, but because I'm like 5'8", that's still too short. So I have to I have to put it on a tall chair.
My setup is probably pretty similar in some ways. So I have a dedicated sewing room in my place. I'm actually in my mother's sewing room right now. So it runs in the family. I have a dedicated sewing room because I am a seamstress by trade. So a lot of the time I'll be working on pieces for like other things I'm working on in there. And when I set that room up, I specifically left one wall blank so I could shoot things for Patreon. So that wall was already kind of there when I started doing TikTok stuff, and depending on the situation, I'll put up my soft boxes and stuff, but it's purely stuff I already had because I do Patreon stuff and photo stuff. But I also have like a really small portable like bendy tripod that fits in my purse. So sometimes I'll do stuff just out in the world, or like, a lot of the time I do those if I'm doing something where I'm skating, because I started learning to roller skate this year. So sometimes I'll be at the rink and like set that up. But in general, I feel like as long as your face is clear, that's kind of all that matters. Like I've done ones where I have my big backdrops behind me. I've done ones where I have my sewing room behind me, which if I'm talking about sewing stuff is like perfect. And I've done ones where I'm just sitting in, my bedroom talking about a thing that annoys me. And sometimes the ones that do really well, like I think as long as you can see the person, that's all that is like really vital, at least to start.
Yeah. I've definitely shot ones like in the bathroom. For most of the video ones I do where it's a makeup tutorial, it's like the bathroom's there, it's the sink, I'm making my makeup. I'm actually in my little space. It's like little like corner where I have like a curtain rod so I can slide across fabric, and it's just like curtains I found at Ross for $5 and fabric that I pin up with tacks, and that's pretty much it. Like to make the different backdrops. Sometimes I get a little creative, but most people don't care. I mean, like it's kind of up to you and like what you want to create. Like sometimes I'll do a photo shoot at the same time afterwards or before, and so it's nice to just use the set later. But people are okay with, you could have a black background, the most basic light, you could use natural light. It's really not essential for it to be crazy elaborate. Just
No.
make sure people can see your face and hear your voice. If you
Yeah.
with your voice,
Yeah.
your voice, you're fine.
Like the
But-
most extravagant one I've ever had is it was a black tablecloth, and I took it into the garage and I threw pink splatter all over it for Junko,
Yes.
and that was about it.
For anyone who is not aware, or maybe not black or POC, the app has a tendency to hide content from black cosplayers, as well as do very little about any racism that people might experience. Racism in the cosplay community is obviously an issue, because some people think you have to look exactly like the character, including skin tone, and harassment is a problem. So we've all had our share of experiences with it on TikTok. It's not immune like anywhere else. So if anyone wants to share something about it, or
It kind of kills me because like TikTok will hide my content that I spend hours on, but the moment I'm standing in the bathroom in my Monster Hunter Kigurumi screaming about like how someone else has done brown face for this character that was completely unnecessary, suddenly that has thousands of views.
yep.
It almost feels, and it really sucks about it, that TikTok seems to only want to hear black voices complain
Mm.
and not so much uplift each other or love on one another or share our creation and our creativity. Because like same way, I've been having videos that if I talk about BLM or if I talk about the racism or if I talk about that, there's like thousands of views on it. But if I just put on a costume, dance around, or go, hey, how are you doing today? I love you. It's like, no, we don't want to see the love half. We want to just see you go, I'm angry and I'm black and I'm the, you know, and it's like, that's not me though. That's not all I want to give to you, you know?
In some ways, I feel like I have kind of a unique experience in a way, because I am a black woman, but I'm that ambiguous brown CW color. I look like a side character on a CW series. I joke all the time. And in a lot of ways, I've noticed that I get the same as in real life. We have to acknowledge that colorism is a thing. I have been on TikTok seriously for maybe 6 months, and there are people who are black, who are darker than me, or who are less conventionally attractive than me, which I hate that word, but you know what I mean, who I see do work that is absolutely stellar, absolutely amazing, who've been on the app for years, who have half the following I have. And I'm like, wait, this isn't right. If I did some of this stuff, it would be getting praised in a lot differently of a way. And I mean, I still get racism. I still get stuff. I particularly, my fiance is white, so sometimes people get pissy about that. But I definitely think that I have a different experience, which I think shows that it is specifically, like, just admit that you don't like dark-skinned people. Admit that this is, because if we don't discuss these issues, we can't fix it, right?
Yep.
And I feel like anytime that I even kind of bring up that I'm black and kind of shatter the illusion that I'm just an ambiguous brown person, I get a certain level of, like, people kind of view me differently. Like if I cosplay Tiana, people are like, if I'm cosplaying Chell from El Dorado because I'm the same color, because we look alike, it's not the same thing. And I've had people be like, oh, you should be Tiana in Disneyland. And I'm like, no, I shouldn't. I absolutely should not. And I feel like that's definitely a part of this conversation that I feel like sometimes gets lost. Is it just racism? It absolutely is. But TikTok, I think, is very willing to lift up Black people that it views as safe. And I feel like that's something that they really need to work on addressing, because that creates a lot of like stuff within the Black community on that then we can't even all really be together, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely. So obviously there's lots of issues to deal with, but for anybody who might want to help make those things better, like what advice you have for friends, followers, anybody, white cosplayers, non-Black cosplayers, how you can help it's a little tricky on TikTok because you can't control the app, but there are things you can do. So one thing, at least in my opinion, is commenting, sharing. Don't really like the whole thing where you switch profiles. I don't think it's very effective. I feel like it gives cookies to one person only and not necessarily the person who you swap with. But it does help to share and like mention people and do duets with them, because then people see that person and that content that would have been buried actually gets seen. So those are my tips, I think.
Big thing is always be aware, listen, don't speak over people. Even going back to the whole you should cosplay Tiana thing, for the love of God, please suggest cosplays that aren't just Black characters, because I understand that we might look really good. Like, I love cosplaying Tiana and I love cosplaying my brown and Black characters, but it's like we have personalities outside of that. So you can't go, well, you would look good as Storm. You'd look good as Tiana. You'd look good as Garnet. Pick a character that's like based on our personalities too, not just the color of our skin. And I don't think people realize that also comes off as slightly racist when you do that, you know?
Yes, yes.
Someone has one more time to suggest that I should cosplay Storm. They're gonna touch these hands that are rated E for everyone.
Yeah. It's why I stopped asking. I was like, if I ever ask for suggestions, I'm like, no, please don't. Or I'll be like explicit, like, you know me, do not suggest what you think you're gonna suggest. You better be giving me some random stuff that just sounds like me, not just because it looks like me.
I want you to take that first thought, yeet it.
Bring it off your list. Yeah. And then on the other side of that, I think there's almost this thing that a lot of specifically white cosplayers, not necessarily non-Black cosplayers, but I feel like specifically white cosplayers will do, where the amount of times that I have to tell people, Black people don't care if you cosplay a Black character as long as you don't do brown face. Beyond that, nobody's mad. And a lot of white cosplayers, I think, feel like they are immediately gonna get canceled if they do anything.
It hasn't happened.
Brown
Never
character.
happened. Never happened.
Like obviously people of color around a monolith. I know people who think that white people should not touch brown characters. Like that is a thing. But I feel the way that adds to the stigma of like white cosplayers can cosplay characters that are white, that are Asian, because anime characters are not white. And it's not viewed as like, oh, you're a white version of this Asian character because you have the same skin tone. But they aren't willing to cosplay Black characters for similar reasons. And I feel like it kind of puts Black cosplayers even further in this little like Black character ghetto.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Oh, sorry. Keep going. I find that ironic because 9 times out of 10, the ones that they're afraid are going to cancel the same ones that tell us that we shouldn't cosplay out of our race.
Yep.
It's literally the same group of people. It's never Black cosplayers telling white cosplayers that you can't do Sherry from Black Panther. Nah, you can't. It's always other white cosplayers telling them that.
Or it's normally brought up to start an argument, like, well, if I cosplayed that character, I'd get canceled and get yelled at. And I'm like, please, by all means, if someone does that, send them my way. And I will tell them something because you support it. It's fine.
Exactly.
It's fun. Have fun with it.
It's like, and the thing is, it also shows like all those like movie companies, media, whatever, that if white people like those characters too, that they are marketable.
Yes.
That's why it's like, it's okay for your little kid to want to be Tiana and she's white or something else. It's fine. It's not a bad thing. It means that they relate, and it has nothing to do with skin tone. Just like I can relate to a character who might be white or Asian or whatever. It just means that they're relatable. They don't have to be the same skin tone to be relatable. So it's okay for you to cosplay. Just don't paint yourself.
That's literally all. Just as long as
don't do that.
Like you can cosplay a character without cosplaying a race, and I feel like that's that a lot of the time people have issues with. But if you are like, oh, I would never cosplay Tiana because I'm white, in a way that's kind of saying you also only see her as her skin tone.
Exactly.
There's so much to Tiana that is not her skin tone. So I kind of feel like there is a way. I feel like there's work that can be done if you are a non-Black cosplayer and you want to be an ally and you have characters that are people of color that you would like to cosplay. If you cosplay them respectfully, A, that's showing that those characters are getting appreciation, and B, I feel like that lessens that stigma for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just me. If you have questions, like general, actually concerned questions that you might be cosplaying a character that is very culturally driven, it's okay to go, hey, I really want to cosplay such and such. However, most of their costume or things about them are very cultural driven. Do you think it's okay? Should I come up with a casual outfit? Do you think that blah, blah, blah? So at least there's a discussion that you understand that certain characters' costumes are very, very driven in culture, and there's a certain way you wear kimonos, and there's a certain way you do things, and that not the culture won't necessarily like care, but you still have to make sure you're doing it respectfully and in the right way.
Yes.
You know, it's just being aware, you know,
It's just,
and listening.
yeah, listening. That's key. Listening.
And also just doing your own research. Not
That too,
immediately,
yes.
not immediately going to your one token Black friend and
Thank you.
assuming they are the Rosetta Stone for all
Yeah.
Black
Yeah.
people.
You make a very good point.
But like,
Yeah.
do the footwork,
Yeah.
research first,
Mm-hmm.
and after you've done your research, then feel free to have that discussion and ask questions.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that's a really good point.
100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
switch it up. What is one of your favorite TikTok moments? It could be, or video, whatever, but just something that you really enjoy about TikTok.
Not necessarily a specific moment,
Mm-hmm.
but every time that somebody on TikTok calls me cosplay mom,
That's so cute.
I've made it. It's very sweet, and it's like, so I've been cosplaying for almost a decade now, and I'm a seamstress. I make most of my own stuff, but because on a lot of other platforms you just see the finished product, I feel like sometimes the amount of work that I do, it would feel like it was kind of going unnoticed.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been like, oh, well, if I do a behind the scenes picture, like nobody's going to be interested in that. They just want to see my butt. Instagram is how it is, let's be honest. And to kind of be able to talk about this thing that I am really passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to make sewing and creating a less intimidating thing for other people that want to get into it, and have people tell me like, oh, you made me less scared to try this. Like, that is always the best compliments that anybody can give me. Like, it always.
Me, it's that before I started doing TikTok, I did do a lot of cosplay masquerades and performances, but I don't think anyone ever looked at me as the front runner of those, because a lot of the times I would give up my spot to be like, well, let's highlight this friend. Let's do this, and this. So they're the ones in the front of the stage and show them off and everything like that. But from doing TikToks, I think people around me have realized that I'm more than just like, yeah, I can kind of do some cosplay stuff. They're like, wow, I didn't know you knew how to do that. Wow, I didn't know you could do that. Oh my God, what was it? And I'm like, yeah, I do stuff, you know. And I think it's good to actually kind of come out of that shell of not being a background character anymore, because people can just see me for what I am rather than just going, well, I saw you did that one performance with that one friend. You guys were all amazing, and I really love that person because they were the main character of the series. And then they see me do so, like with me doing Junko or Xehanort, the amount of people who have been like, how are you doing these things with your eyes, and what is going on? And I'm like, because you see me like, hi, I like doing this. And they see Junko and I'm like, hi, I look like I could take out your entire family. And they're like, that's terrifying of the switch. And I'm like, yeah, my personality
So good.
is small, but I can do so much more. And I'm glad you can see that now, you know? And I think TikTok has really helped with that. So my favorite thing is showing people that I'm not just the mousy little character all the time, you know?
TikTok has definitely helped me like skill wise, because I've been able to do things more often. I've been able to improve on like makeup. I have drastically improved on makeup. You could scroll back to like my first couple of videos and you'll be like, what are those? I think the biggest, like, I think the proudest moment I have, like the happiest moment on TikTok was, it was one of my earlier videos back when I had my little Funko Pop stand. I had made a video in response to a really impactful event that happened in the community. A certain person with a very huge following decided to brownface for a character and darken their skin tone. And I just remember watching so many Black cosplayers left and right just dropping the app because they're like, I can't do this. I'm getting bullied. I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable because this is happening, and that person's fans are coming after me because I tried to speak out about it. And I remember just, I don't like this one person. This person's not even on TikTok anymore, but I saw their video in response. They're like, nope, I'm done. And I lost my mind. I flipped several tables and I was like, nope, that's it. I've had it. I'm done. I'm doing this. I have a little bit of time before work. I'm pulling out 6 different costumes, and I made this video before TikTok had the option for text. I wrote out a message on paper, different about cosplay whatever you want. Don't be afraid. And my skin tone is not a costume. I can't take it off at the end of the day. And just watching that video, because I posted it and I went to work, and like I check every couple hours and suddenly there's like notifications pouring in, and I'm like, what? Because I never expected it to get anywhere near as far as it did. I just got fed up with all of the negativity in the community, and I wanted to show people that there are people out there who are going to support you, who don't think this is okay, and want you to keep going because they can tell this is something you actively enjoy. Keep going, keep creating, keep pushing. Don't stop on someone else's account. And I think that's actually how I found Kalika too.
I remember that video.
I remember that video. Like way back when.
It's like, just
show me just like how, like, just where how much negativity there is in a community, there's also that positivity. There just needs to be that ignite, start. Words are hard, man. And I was glad to be that for people, and I got to see people push past that, and I watching people grow along after that incident. It was just, it was so nice. It was just so nice.
Yeah, I love the positivity that generally exists in the community. Like, for the bad, there's like so many wonderful, sweet, awesome people that have like, I was like, I wish you lived closer, or it's a pandemic, we wouldn't meet. But I mean, I can't wait to meet you later. But just like so many wonderful, sweet people who are just like so nice or helpful. Like if you're new at things, like some people are willing to show you the world, tell you everything, send you sounds, like duet you even though you're like looking crazy, and be like, you can do this, hyping you up. Like it's been really, really nice. And like for me, it's been great because I used to do filmmaking, and then I kind of killed that dream because it's really hard to do in general. And then I was like, oh, I can edit stuff on this app for fun. And so it's like mini filmmaking, and it's been really nice to just kind of get back to that and hang out with my friends virtually. So that's kind of been like the most awesome part about this whole experience. I've got a bunch of little Q&A questions to wrap this up. So one person's question that kind of goes back to the like starter advice, but their question is, what's advice for somebody who's never been on video before? Because I know that can be daunting to some people. It's kind of why I don't like being on video sometimes. But so what kind of like little advice would you help them like kind of get past that?
things. Like start small, kind of do it to yourself. If you have to like record yourself saying something on your phone and then look back at it, and then be kind, don't judge yourself. Because I am also a victim of recording it and then going, oh, I sound so bad, and then oh, I don't like the way that look. You just record it, look at it, and go, okay, I did one thing. Go and try it again. Okay, I did another thing. I don't care that there was a piece of hair that was out of place. I just don't worry about it and try again, you know. Is the more you also self-judge yourself, the more you're like, I can't do this. I can't, you know. So you have to just kind of keep rolling and keep trying no matter what.
Are your worst critic?
Yes.
So instead of looking at the video and being like, oh, this is garbage, delete. No, look at it as, oh, I did this thing. How next time?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have those moments of like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this, think about what you would think if your closest friend had sent that to you, as opposed to it being you. Because I feel like sometimes I'll do that for myself and it'll kind of change my opinion. Because if your friend's like, hey, I made this thing, you wouldn't be like, oh, your hair's out of place here, it's garbage. You'd be like, that's super cool. And maybe if there was something to improve it, you'd tell them, but you wouldn't be like, trash. So sometimes I'll kind of like put like my best friend in my place in my head.
Yeah. I also think it helps to sometimes just put it out there. Just send it. Just click the button. You can always delete it. And you can always private it, or if you have friends that you follow, you could do friends only, so that they see it, and then if they like it, you can release it to the wild. But I do know that feeling, trying to do it for the first time, to be on camera, you're like, there's gonna be a freeze frame where my face looks weird, which is literally a problem I still deal with today. But you know, it's okay. Like, there's tons of people making weirder faces and looking crazier than you can imagine on that app, so you're fine. Like, no one's gonna judge you for that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so just get out and do it.
I think the only other thing is that, like, before I start recording TikToks, I'll probably stand in front of the camera and like stare at myself and just do like random noises, just you know, pretend to be Sharpay Evans.
Voice vocal training and getting ready.
Yeah, and like shake my body, like get all the nerves out as best I can. Like, as crazy and as silly as it sounds, it helps.
It does.
True.
And then also angles, like the difference an angle can make. Especially, it depends on the cosplays too. So like if I'm doing a masculine cosplay, like I might shift the angle for that versus if I'm doing a super femme one or whatever. So sometimes the angles or the lighting can make like a world of difference. You might think you look hideous and then you like make it a higher level and you look great. So
That's true.
Personally, I have OCD, so a lot of times things have to be in a certain way. And what I do with my sounds, I will take a picture of the character and I will record an entire video of that sound with the character's face, and then I put it in my drafts. So that way, when I go back to it, I can go, okay, these sounds were for these characters, and I can practice and look over those sounds with those characters. Then you can just back and get rid of the whole picture with the character and just record it with your face.
I do the same thing.
Looking at your face.
That is genius.
It's a lifesaver, like, because I would lose audio files and never be able to find them. So
with duets and stuff, or if I know I'm gonna switch from like a light version of a character to a dark version of a character, like light and evil kind of thing, I'll go, here's the light picture, and then at this point, at this second, it's changing to this version of it. So it'll have two separate pictures, so I remind myself, or put little notes to go, okay, this is a transformation into this character with that save draft.
Saving drafts in advance is like, it's game changer.
I'm gonna spend the rest of my night just revamping.
You'll be like looking up and saving it up. You're like, yeah.
It also helps for time, because sometimes we're like, okay, today I want to record, but I don't know what's gonna happen today. So now that I have all of these saved, like I have a million things of Inko saved, and I'm like, good, I remembered all the Deku cosplayers I was supposed to do it.
You don't have to
all saved away, you know, and I can just go back later and do it rather than going, oh no. Which sounds were it? This sounds like Inko and Isabel. I don't know, you know, kind of thing.
No.
Sometimes I'll be in a wig that I'm like, I can be in this wig for 20 minutes.
Yep.
Before I am done.
Those two.
That's smart.
What is the TikTok bounce?
That?
TikTok bounce.
Oh, the kind of.
Oh.
Okay. That's people animating themselves, literally. I thought that was a new trend dance thing, and I was like, I don't know, I'm old. Putting the record on two times and then slowly doing the bounce thing to kind of make yourself look more like an animated character.
There are tutorials.
Yes, tutorials are your friend.
Same.
Basically, if you don't know what that is, it's an option when you go to record. You have regular speed, you have slower speed, so it'll be slow-mo, and then you have 2 times, which is everything really slowed down, including your audio, which is really nice if you like to lip sync and you're obsessive about lip sync matching. It's super handy. So yeah. And then speaking of timing, how long does it usually take you to do a video?
Dependent.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
For me, depending on what it is, my sewing videos in particular, like if I'm doing a tutorial video, those take so much time because I'll have to set up the camera to show, okay, this is what I'm doing in this, and then I'll have to set it up for something else. And like the weirdest angle that I think I ever had to do is I was trying to show how a sewing machine works, so I had to figure out a way to get my phone where you could see my foot pedal, and I was standing down there next to it like Alton Brown and Good Eats. Those can be really, really complicated, just trying to find ways to show the thing that I'm doing and also to word it in a way that you can understand in that amount of time. Sometimes like people will ask me, like they'll be like, show me how to make a hat, and I'm like, I could not do that in a minute. I can do it months, but I think that's the thing that takes the most time for me, is figuring out, okay, how much time do I have to talk about this? What am I going to say? What is the clearest way for me to get this across? And then I also then have to film myself sewing or cutting or doing whatever, and that sometimes can take a lot of time because I'll usually film those in 2 times speed or sometimes the 3 times speed. So you can just cutting really fast, but that's taking me 20 minutes.
I was just gonna say, for entertainment purposes, it just really depends if you're telling a story. Are you just doing a lip sync? Are you doing transitions? Are you doing a cut? Like transitions, you have to have you before you do your makeup, which I forget a lot, and then you have to do it after. So that's gonna take it's 5 minutes to film that, but now I have an hour or 2 to do my makeup, and then I've got to film that next section. Storytelling, if you've got a lot of voice and stuff in it, that's going to be edits, and it's going to be filming, and it's going to be this, so it just depends. Dancing, you also have to account for all the practice that you did to try to do that dance, while as in people see the one, oh, you did it, and I'm like, yeah, after 50 takes. So it's like, that's an hour of dancing, and I always do dancing at the end because I don't want to mess up my makeup to do the small stuff. So it's like, filming it just really depends on what you're putting into it.
That's pretty much it. Like, there are some that I was able to do in 1 take, and I'm like, boom, 15-second video, boom, done. And then there's, I think my most complex video to date, and this is another one of those where you put a lot of work into it and nobody sees it. It was my my hero OC, and I did a video of like her villainized, and I learned how to do green screen stuff through another app on Apple, and I had to shoot myself in the villain look and holding the green piece of paper or whatever. And then I had to shoot myself in the hero look, pretending to be trapped in the piece of paper. And that took so long because the certain angle the green would pick up in other places, and I had to reshoot it again and again and again and again and again.
I've definitely done some where it's like, I did 1 take, that was perfect, done. And then there's like I think one of my few most popular ones was like, I decided to change my makeup, and it wasn't one that I had like blocked the camera so I could hide the transitions and shoot it over a week or something. It was one really long, I think it was like 24 hours basically of switching between makeups and costumes, and it was like 15 seconds long. It took me like all day because I did like 9 characters or something like an idiot, and like some of them were there for like a hot second too.
See, I love those transition videos you do though, but I did not know you did them in a day.
So it can be anywhere from a little to a lot.
Definitely. So that basically wraps everything up. And I want to thank my wonderful guests for joining me to talk about TikTok and cosplay. So just one more time, if you guys could just say your name, your handle, and where people can find you.
I am Heaven's Light Cosplay on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Go find me. I love you.
Kalika Evans. I am Midnight Persona on basically everything: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everything. So yeah, go check that out.
I am Cheyenne Jazz Wise. I go by Cheyenne Jazz Wise just by itself on everything except for Instagram, where I had to be Cheyenne Jazz Wise official because I got hacked. It was a whole thing. But if you search Cheyenne Jazz Wise, I assume I will be the only person that comes up on there as well. So
nice. And I'm Jamila of Black Betty Cosplay. I'm pretty much that on everything except sometimes shortened. But if you look up Black Betty Cosplay, you'll find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, about there. So thank you for joining us and have a wonderful night. Mwah. Bye.